Hey guys, welcome back once again to Niagara Fire Corals. Today we're going to be setting up auto water changes. Okay guys, so we're in the sump room once again today. You can see there I have a dose that is not being used. I have a ton of RO line. And I have a brute container. What are we going to do today? We're going to set up automatic water changes. Okay guys, so this is the brute container. It's full. This is freshly mixed salt water, and I know it's kind of crazy that I filled it before doing the project, but I wanted to know exactly where the water level line was. That's the only reason that I filled it prior. So I'm going to take you guys in closer. Right there along the back wall above the water line, I'm going to drill a hole through. And then I'm going to make my connections through with the RO line. That's going to go down into the pail to pull the new fresh water to the dose for our auto water changes. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get the hole drilled and the line in and set up. And then I'll come back and we'll carry on to the next point. Okay, so I've drilled the hole through. I've got an RO line that goes through the side. You can see here, that black line is going right down to the bottom of the pail. I've attached a small piece of acrylic to the end of it to hold it down at the bottom. And then I have an elbow that comes out on the opposite side of the pail here, and that's where my line will come in from the dose for taking the water to the tank. Okay guys, so next up I'm going to set up the lines to the dose. Now the pump head you see on the right side of that is going to pull the water from my sump, and it's going to go out on the left side of that pump head, and that is going to run to my drain. So I'm going to get those lines set up now, and I'll show you how I did those. Alright guys, so we have the right pump hooked up. The right pump is solely for pulling the wastewater from your tank and delivering it to either a collection container that you're using or directly to a drain. In my case, I'm using my drain. So the white line you see coming out of that right pump, it goes down right there into my sump. So that's going to pull the water up into that pump, and then that blue line heads up, and then it goes across my ceiling, comes down this wall here, and it goes into my sink, which will go right down the drain. Alright, so next up we're going to get that left pump hooked up, and that one is going to be for pulling the clean new salt water from my brute container and delivering it back into the tank. So I'll get those lines hooked up now, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, you can see right there I have the two white RO lines hooked up now to the left side of my dose. The one line goes down, goes across the wall here, and then it comes down, and that's what's picking up the fresh salt water from the brute container. And then the other one goes across the wall, and it comes down into the last compartment of my sump right there. This is the return portion of the sump where the water heads back to the display tank. So I have the fresh water going in there, and we're pulling from the first compartment way over there. That's where we're pulling the wastewater out. I just didn't want to be counterproductive and be putting the fresh water into the same location that I was pulling from. So that's the only reason I separated them. So that's it guys. That's all our lines hooked up. The pump on the right is pulling from the sump, going to the drain. The pump on the left is pulling from the saltwater reservoir and going back to my sump. So now we're going to take a look at getting these pumps calibrated and set up to do our auto water changes. Okay guys, so I'm going to start by calibrating the pump here on the left. So I have to hold this button down and manually run the pump until I see water coming out of the line no longer containing any air bubbles. So I'm priming the line. This is the way you get a proper calibration in your pump. Okay guys, so you can see right there we have the water is now coming out of that line. So the line is fully primed, and we can go ahead and we can do our calibration on this pump. Okay guys, so I'm going to take you real quick through the calibration of one of the DOS pumps, and you'll do the same for both. So get this to focus here. Okay, now that we got it focused. Alright guys, so you're going to go to these little gears right here. So you just click on that, and then these will come up. You can go here, and then this is where you'll see all your modules and stuff. So you just click on the gear icon here for your DOS, and then you'll see this is where you can calibrate pump 1 and pump 2. Okay, so I'm going to go to pump calibration, and from here I'm going to have to put the phone down because it'll start as soon as I hit next. But you're going to want to have a graduated container, something that's going to mark out the volume that it takes in. So I'll just put this down. I'm going to use the same container that I got with my Versa, just because it's a nice easy container to use. Hold it underneath of the line, and right here it's supposed to dose 40 mils, so you just hold your container underneath of it until it stops, and then you enter whatever it dosed. Okay guys, so the calibration completed on that first pump, and as you can see, it did not dose 40 mils, it dosed 37. So on the screen that we were on, you will just go into here, if I can get this to focus for you. Right there where it says 40 mils, we're going to put in 37. Okay? So what I always like to do is I like to run the calibration a second time after you make that adjustment, just to make sure that it actually doses the 40 mils it's supposed to. So I'm going to just do the same thing again. I'm going to go to pump calibration. Yes, my lines are already primed, so you hit next. And now it's going to dose 40 mils again. So we'll see how this one turns out. And if it's 40 mils, we know we're perfectly primed. Okay guys, there you go. You can see after the calibration we did, I ran another calibration just to make sure, and it's bang on 40 mils, perfectly where it's supposed to be. So now that pump is perfectly calibrated, and I'm going to go ahead and do the second one. It's not necessary to show you guys it's exactly the same as the first one. There is a slight variable with the pump on the right, and we'll go over that in a few minutes after I calibrate that pump. Okay guys, so like I said to you earlier, there is a slight variable with these DOS pumps when you set them up to do an automatic water change. And we're going to head over to my laptop, and I'm going to take you guys through the setup of the automatic water change, but I just want you guys to keep one thing in mind, so when we discuss it, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you remember, when we did this, this blue line goes to my drain. This white line here is pulling water from the sump. Important, and I wanted to make sure you guys knew about it. So we'll go over to the laptop now, and we'll go through the setup of doing these auto water changes, and then maybe you'll get an even better understanding of what I'm talking about here. Okay, so I brought you over to my computer. It's the easiest way that we can play with this and look at it together. You can see on my phone right there, and the saltwater and waste are the two pumps. So we'll go in there and I'll show you guys how you go about setting this up. The best way that I found for setting it up is at the very top. You go to that thing that looks like a little folder or a little clipboard on the end. You can come in here, and there's already a bunch of pre-set up things for you. So you can see there in the middle of the screen, it says DOS manual water change, DOS automatic water change, and DOS calibration. So we already did the calibration. So now we're ready to go. We're going to set it up with the DOS auto water change. So we'll click on that. Now, what I want you guys to pay attention to here is taking a look at the two pumps. You'll see it shows how to set up your water lines, your RO lines. So I'm going to show you a video right here just to refresh your memory back to when I just did it. You'll see my water lines are hooked up correct according to this diagram, but I'm going to show you uh, the variable that I was talking about with that pump head on the right. It does something a little funny, and I don't want people to get confused by that. Okay, so our lines were hooked up correct. So from here, you would go to next. It shows my dose. So we're just going to choose that. And then this is where you would add your names. So the pump on the left is the one, if you remember, has the two white lines, and it is dosing to the tank the fresh salt water. So that's why I named it saltwater. The one on the right is the one that's pulling pulling water from my sump and sending it to the sink to go down the drain. So that's why I named it waste. So you can put whatever you want there for the names of your pumps, but that's what I used. So from here you would hit next. Now it's real simple setup, guys. I got it set to gallons. We're gonna set it to, I want it to change 2 gallons every day, and I'm gonna start it at midnight, which is 0000. That's where it's set now. And then I want it to end at, I'm gonna go to 4 a.m. Okay, so we got that set. So you can see there we have it set. Our units, you can set the units to milliliters, liters, or gallons. I have it set to gallons. I'm going to change 2 gallons of water daily. I'm going to start at midnight and it's going to end at 4 a.m. So we'll go to next, and there it tells you the dose is going to change 2 gallons of water per day between 12 and 4 a.m. Salt water will add the water, wastewater will remove the water. So we'll click send. And there you go. It's done. So now we're going to go back and we'll just have a look at the two pumps. So we'll go into the salt water first, and you can go to this little gear icon there that you see on the bottom left, and you can look actually at the summary of what it's going to do. So you can see there it's going to dose 2 gallons of water over 240 minutes. It's going to dose 17 times every 14 minutes, and it's going to dose 445.3 mils per dose. The pump speed, everything is there for you. So if you look at that and pay attention to it, then we can go back. We'll go to the exact same thing, except we'll go to the waste side. We'll check the summary of that, and it should read exactly the same, which it does. So that means the one's going to be putting in and taking out, they're going to be doing it at the exact same pace. Now, for the purpose of what I'm doing, I like to try and keep numbers easy for me to record or kind of keep notes on, so it's easier for me. 7,570.8 milliliters is just a little oddball number. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to modify how much or times or anything. You can just go to modify to change it. I'm going to just I'm going to click on the number there, and I'm just going to change it to 7,600. Now, that's just slightly over 2 gallons, which is perfectly fine. Then you send it, click OK, and then I'm just going to go back and I'm going to also change the other one. So we'll go to modify the interval, and we'll change this one as well to 7,600. right? And we'll go up and we'll send it and we're done. So now they're both at 7,600. You can see there. We'll go back in one more time. We'll look at the summary and you can see it changed just slightly. We'll make sure everything looks good. It's okay. So that's the saltwater one. And I'll go to the waste one. Just have a quick look here. And we're exactly the same. So everything's good. That's how simple it is to set it up, guys. Now, I'm going to throw up 2 videos right now about that variable in the 2 pumps that I was talking about. And you're going to see what I'm talking about. Why this happens is beyond me, but check out these videos and we'll talk about it. There you go, guys. This is the dose actually dosing. And you can see the pump on the left is running clockwise. The pump on the right is running counterclockwise. So it's correct in the way that the lines are hooked up. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do now to show you what I'm talking about is I'm going to go into my doser, and the one on the left, which doses the fresh salt water, I'm just going to turn it on. And you can see it still runs clockwise, which is exactly the way it was running when it dosed. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn on the waste one the same way I just turned that one on. And as you can see, that one now runs clockwise as well. So that's the little variable in the pump. Okay guys, so I did know about this variable. It's just odd to me why it's done like that. I thought myself that I had to switch the 2 lines on the pump for the waste side until I took the time to actually watch the pump dose as opposed to just turning the pump on. If I hadn't have done that and I switched the lines because I thought it was backwards, which I'm gonna guess that a lot of people have done, it wouldn't be dosing, and that could go on for days before you'd notice. So it's kind of crazy, but I wanted you guys to see that. I wanted you guys to know about it because to me it's strange that it does that. So you cannot turn the, the saltwater side. You could turn the saltwater side on. It'll pull from the saltwater container and put fresh saltwater in. But you cannot pull wastewater by just simply turning the wastewater module on, because it will run backwards. Crazy. Okay guys, that's it for today. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button below so you guys can keep getting this great content as it comes out. Hopefully this video is going to help some of you moving forward. And until the next time, make sure you take care and happy reefing.